the Super Bowl is around a week away, so this gave me a video idea. I wanted to combine two of my favorite things, the NFL and Pokemon. So the concept of this video is, what if the Super Bowl was in Pokemon? If you don't know anything about Pokemon or the Super Bowl, that's okay, because I think I have some really good analogies. I also noticed that no one on YouTube has really made a video like this before, so I thought it'd be really interesting to cover. And if you have your own opinions on anything I say, then let me know in the comments below. With that out of the way, let's get straight to it. So in the same way that we have the NFL playoffs, which determines who exactly goes to the Super Bowl, we have the Pokemon League Conference in the anime, which basically determines who gets to fight the champion. Now, there's always some really consistently good teams that always make it to the playoffs each season, such as the Chiefs, Ravens, Bills, etc. And I think we need to make an analogy for these types of teams. To find a player who would always make it to the playoffs, I think we would find this in Ash Ketchum.
Trico!
So is it a water type?
I feel like Ash Ketchum is usually considered the GOAT of Pokemon. However, I think it's honestly really acceptable to compare him to Matthew Stafford. In their early years, they were both high performers despite the difficult situations. For example, Ash in the Kanto League placed in the top 16 despite being in a league of 500 people. For Matty Staffy, it was being part of a 0-16 team the previous year. As the seasons progressed, he was able to get progressively better and better. But it took over a decade for him to win his first championship. That's why I think he's really comparable to Matthew Stafford, someone who's always really seen as consistently good, but was never really able to get to that Super Bowl caliber. Up until, of course, recently. I do suppose that if Ash never actually won a championship, I guess he'd be more comparable to perhaps Lamar Jackson or maybe even Josh Allen. People who are known for being really consistent, but when it comes to their playoff appearances, they always choke at the finish line. I mean, they've had chance after chance after chance, and they're always regarded as being really good, and they are really good, but they've just never been able to make it over that imaginary line. Although I guess a fair difference is that some people have noticed that Josh Allen has been falling off recently, especially in lieu of his marriage. I mean, there's a lot of girls who really liked him, especially Serena, but he was really dumb to notice the signs. Like, if you watch the show, Ash was obviously not a womanizer, which, speaking of, does that mean that Brock is like Stephon Diggs? Anyway, wait, I think I'm getting a little too sidetracked. Let's just focus on someone else. So, if Ash is Matthew Stafford, then who are all of his rivals? Well, Ash throughout the show has various rivals, starting with Gary, who I think honestly is Brock Purdy, a new young quarterback with tons of confidence and can easily go toe-to-toe with Matty Staffy. And let's not forget that Brock Purdy is coached by one of the greats, Kyle Shanahan, in the same way how Gary is the son of the one and only Professor Oak. However, he does end up falling short, kind of like how Ash and Gary develop in the show. As rivals, they're always fighting for their divisional title as the champions of the NFC West. For Ash and Gary, it's fighting over the Kanto League. Alright, I'm not talking about the Rams and the 49ers. Let's talk about their rival, which ultimately won the NFC Championship. And we'll be going to the Super Bowl next weekend. Of course, I'm talking about the Seattle Seahawks and Sam Darnold. I think Sam Darnold is most comparable to Wally from Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. Wally's portrayed as a really weak and sick boy at the beginning of the Gen 3 games. However, progressively, as you fight him, he gets stronger and stronger, until the end of the game when he's able to Mega Evolve his Gallade and become one of the strongest characters, even able to rival the MC himself. I think this progression is a little bit similar to Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold was drafted to the New York Jets, where he was doing okay, but he did have some struggles here and there. And afterwards, he just got tossed from team to team. However, with the Vikings, he was really able to prove himself as a true competitor. And finally, this year, he was able to get into the Seahawks, where he absolutely exploded and now won the NFC Championship and is now in the Super Bowl for the first time as a starter. So now we also must consider who exactly Sam Darnold's rival would be in the Pokemon universe. Well, for the Super Bowl, it's obviously Drake Maye, the quarterback for the New England Patriots, who will be fighting him as the AFC champion. However, who exactly is Wally's rival in the Ruby and Sapphire games? Well, I think it's pretty easy to say that it's Brendan, the main protagonist of the Gen 3 games.
Damn, Ken. She's actually pretty cute.
So what were you asking?
I asked if your dad's pretty cute. Fuck!
I think Drake Maye is most analogous to the protagonist of a Pokemon game, because usually the journey of a Pokemon protagonist is usually pretty easy. I mean, gameplay-wise. I'm not talking about lore-wise. Because usually in the Pokemon games, you usually have to stop some world-ending event, such as Brendan in Gen 3 games, who literally has to stop Groudon and or Kyogre from ruining the world. Anyway, that whole tangent aside, gameplay-wise, the protagonist has it pretty easy, in the same way how a lot of people like to accuse Drake Maye of having a very easy schedule this season. I do want to point out something unique about Brendan that isn't actually true about many other Pokemon protagonists, which is that we actually know who Brendan's father is. Brendan's father is actually Norman, the leader of the 5th gym in Hoenn, and he's widely considered to be one of the strongest trainers in the entire region. Okay, now this might be a little bit of a stretch, but perhaps it's analogous to compare him a little bit to Tom Brady. After all, some people are comparing Drake Maye to become Tom Brady's successor, and are also considered some of the best in their respective area. Norman is famous for his discipline, in the same way that Tom Brady is one of the most disciplined athletes. However, for Brendan, he's a little too new, so it's hard to judge his legacy just yet. Norman does indeed respect his son, however is a little bit envious because his legacy could only be challenged by the newcomer. And let's not forget, there are conspiracy theories saying that Drake Maye is actually Tom Brady's son, but maybe that's a topic for another day. Alright, next up, let's talk about the defending Super Bowl champion. Of course, Jalen Hurts from the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts is quite controversial because a lot of people do say he is overrated, and for that reason, I think he is really equivalent to Champion Diantha from X and Y. Champion Diantha is usually considered one of the most underestimated and perhaps easiest champions in the entire Pokemon series. However, Champion Diantha, like Jalen Hurts, does have a few tricks up her sleeve. Diantha, first of all, has a regal presence. She basically commands your attention, in a similar way to how Jalen Hurts and his offensive line will command the attention of any defense that goes against them. And also going back to that whole Diantha is easy thing, let's keep in mind that her team is actually a lot more balanced than people give her credit for, kinda similar to Jalen Hurts' skill set. Like yeah, when compared to other quarterbacks, his throwing ability is not as consistent as others. However, we must remember that his running and ability to drive the ball down a field is especially remarkable, and can be lethal if underestimated by the opponent. However, this is not to mention that offensively they both have a few issues. Of course, Diantha is considerably weaker than other champions such as Cynthia. However, the same can also be said as Jalen Hurts, as his offensive play calling recently has been pretty bad. Now originally when I was making this video, I wasn't going to include this quarterback, but a friend requested that I add him, so I thought I would. So I was asked originally to compare Jared Goff to a Pokemon character, and I did struggle, but I do think I have a good comparison. Jared Goff aligns really well with Steven Stone from Pokemon Emerald, the son of the president of the Devon Corporation, and is also really obsessed with rocks and is also low-key extremely chill. And yes, I'm choosing specifically the Emerald version of a character. The reason why is because in every other iteration of Steven Stone's character, he is depicted as being the champion. However, in Pokemon Emerald, he is actually not the champion, and we don't even really know if he ever was the champion in Pokemon Emerald. In the same way how, of course, Jared Goff hasn't actually won a Super Bowl yet. However, he has made an appearance at one, and he has also been very close to winning the NFC Championship. However, as of recently, Jared Goff has been very prone to being sacked due to the weakness of his O-line, and also in addition to when he gets out of the pocket. This is similar to how Steven is usually quite strong. However, if you have a fire, fighting, or rock type, you can usually do a lot of damage against his team since he carries mostly steel types. Also, Steven and Goff share a similarity as they are both extremely dapper, as you can see here. I'm running out of comparisons. Well, Steven has blue hair and Goff plays for the Lions, which have blue gear. Yeah, nah, I'm kind of out of ideas for this one. So with that, I think we should begin wrapping up the video. Now, I'm sorry if your favorite player or quarterback didn't make it in this video, but don't worry. I was actually considering making a part 2, but really only if you guys want to see it. So if you guys want to see a part 2, make sure to let me know and comment down suggestions for who you think I should add in the next part. Now, this video was actually inspired by a friend. Now, go check out the original idea that inspired this video. It's from Triangle, who's been in a few videos before. So thank you for letting me borrow your idea. I totally didn't copy it. But if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe, you know the whole deal. Oh, and also make sure to let me know who you think is going to win the Super Bowl this weekend, the Patriots or the Seahawks. I really want the Patriots to win since I am a Patriots fan, of course, but let me know your thoughts below.
I just want to go home and play Pokemon. go home and play Pokemon.
Yeah, Pokemon.
Yeah.
Don't do that. You can't disrespect Pokemon like that. Pokemon.